You can be a contestant on The Price is Right. Oh, we're here. This is called showing up, no matter what, whether you feel like it or not. It's been an interesting couple of weeks since we've seen you guys. We'll let notifications go out and let people realize that we are live. I remembered to create an event this time, so that's good, which means notifications will go out. So that's good. So we'll just wait a few minutes. You can see Karen and I dressed up for the occasion.
My favorite beach.
But we're here. What is it? Oh, nice. I like
Rehoboth.
that sweatshirt.
It's very nice.
Yeah. So if you haven't been watching us for a while, you will know that we are live 2 times a month now instead of every Saturday. And I have been reading. Karen's been doing some school courses, so she hasn't been reading the book, but I have been reading All It Takes Is a Goal by Jon Acuff. It's kind of an interesting take on goals and kind of switching up how you think about it. A few weeks ago, we talked about, there's Tracy. Hi, Trace. A few weeks ago, we talked about the first part of this book. He suggests that your vision for the future ought to come from what are the best experiences that you've had in the past. And so he suggested that we do this is the author of the book, by the way, if you're just jumping in. This is that All It Takes Is a Goal book. He suggested that we do an assessment of like the last 10 or 20 years. What were your happiest moments of was it the last decade or the last 2 decades?
I think it's 2 decades.
The last 20 years, what were your happiest moments? And then to do kind of an evaluation and see, were they relationship moments? Were they experience moments? Were they things? Were they accomplishments? Like, what were the things that brought you the most joy over the last 20 years? Yeah, it was 20 years because I remember saying to you, I can't hardly think of anything. Which is because, when you're a single parent and you like have a job to do called raise your kid to be some kind of a decent human, you don't realize, but you put your head down and you just go, and you don't really stop to think about like, oh, is this an enjoyable moment, or am I having fun in my life? It's like, oh, you're just getting the job done. It's not like you don't have fun, but it's like, you're not.
Yeah, it's different.
Yeah, you don't have the luxury of like, at least I didn't, because I was the sole, financial support. I didn't have the luxury to stop and think like, oh, am I enjoying this? Do I like working 4 jobs? Am I having a good time? Some of my best moments during those times were, honest to God, watching the Disney Channel with him. When he was little. I loved I think I loved the Disney Channel more than he did. Wizards of Waverly Place was like my favorite show.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, Janet. So then he talks about how there are 3 zones in your life. There's like the chaos zone, the middle zone. What does he talk? The comfort zone, the potential zone, and the chaos zone. And he says that high performers bounce between the 3 zones.
Yeah.
And then there are easy goals, middle goals, and guaranteed goals. So easy goals easy. You can see I haven't had enough coffee. Easy goals help you escape the comfort zone. Middle goals help you avoid the chaos zone, and guaranteed goals help you live in the potential zone. So an easy goal is something super simple that you can win at. And a middle goal is like setting, like, okay, I'm going to walk a mile 5 days a week for 30 days, or I'm going to walk a mile 5 days a week for 60 days. So a middle goal is like between 30 and 60 days. So that's kind of right where I'm at in this book. So what I thought was interesting is high achievers or high performers like myself. My thing would be, I have to walk 3 miles 7 days a week. That's how I would set up a goal for myself.
Yeah.
And then I most likely would not hit that all the time and then would feel like a fit. So that's kind of like what keeps you in that, I think, in that chaos, right? Of like never really, because he's saying like even 10 minutes every day spent consistently on something or towards something is going to net you a huge result. And so those of us that are performing at a high thing, like 10 minutes is like, what are you talking about? 10 minutes isn't going to do anything.
It does.
But he breaks this. I just finished this chapter. I'm about halfway through this whole thing where he breaks it down. Yeah. He's like, if you take 10 minutes, he's like, if you stop wasting 10 minutes on social media, which totally I do that, not a lot, but I definitely like when I am just want to detach, I'm literally like scrolling through Facebook, looking at ads for shit I don't need to buy. Or like I get caught up in like, oh, Demi Moore made a post about Bruce Willis's condition, and then I'm over on her Instagram, and then I'm looking up her daughters, and I'm like, wow.
I'm glad you do it.
Yeah, no, I'm like, wow, this is really sad. And then I have to stop, and I'm like, shit, I can't even pick up the phone. Like I just have to leave it down because this is pathetic. Because you look up and like 30 minutes have gone by. So what he's saying in this book is like when people say, I don't have time to change my life, or I don't have time to, walk a mile, or I don't have time. It's like, don't you though? Don't you have time?
Yeah.
Because where are you wasting, where can you claim back your time? And he's saying like, do a calendar heist, basically, like look and see what time are you wasting during the day, that could be spent on something else. He's saying even 10 minutes spent he tells a story about one, I think she was a single mother, but she got her whole bachelor's degree in line at the carport, waiting for the kid, like when you go to pick up your kid.
Oh, yeah.
And you're just waiting because you have to, those of you that have done this, which I have, because Antonio went to I drove him to school like literally every single day of his life. So you wait, you pull up, there's a line, you have to wait for the kids to come out, and then you have to wait for the line in front of you. So she, took her computer or whatever, and that's when she was doing her schoolwork. And every day she would get in, 15 minutes in the morning line and 15 minutes in the night line, whatever. And and she graduated. She got like pretty much her whole degree.
It shows you though what 30 minutes a day does.
By stealing back time, right? So I thought that was interesting because I add cardio to my the workout that my son is a trainer, so he gives me, I pay him to do this. He gives me a workout. I have this thing called Train Heroic, and I have to log in, and my workouts are in there for the week. And so I am adding cardio. And then I started with, I have to walk 3 miles a day. And then I was like, that's going to take me like, okay, I don't have that kind of time. I have to walk 2 miles a day. It's like, okay. But if I get down in the gym late, I don't have time for that. So after I read this, I said, you know what? I'll walk 20 minutes, which is like a little over a mile. And let's see if I can just do that for the rest of this month. Every time I go down there to do a workout, I'm going to add 20 minutes and go on the treadmill. So far, we're at 2 days. I'll let you know how it goes. So let's just talk about also consistency, right? I don't know how many of you are still playing the game. I'm still playing the game. I told you on October 1st that I would play the effectiveness game for 3 months and I would keep my scores. I also told you I would do 25 gratitudes a day from October 1st until Thanksgiving, which I did do that. And then I am still playing the consistency game, and I promised myself I wouldn't drop below 80. So I have held myself to that standard. Last week, which was Thanksgiving week, was a week of 80s because there were people here and there was stuff going on.
I got down to 70. Yeah.
Yeah. And I started this week really strong. And then I have a kitty, Merlin, who seems to be having a health challenge. So I never ask you guys to pray for me for anything, but I am asking you if you would just offer up a couple of prayers for Merlin. He's only 8 and we'd really like to see him come through this little challenge. So I'd really appreciate any of you who pray, or if you're energy workers or Reiki masters or anything, I would appreciate you sending your goodwill to little Merlin, who is currently taking up residence in my closet because that's where nobody will bother him. So anyhow, when all that happened a couple days ago, I saw, you know, when you're hit with stuff you don't expect, or you're hit, like, the consistency is way harder to keep in. So it just was like so interesting that I've been doing really well. I've stayed on point. And then, you know, last week was kind of a shit show with everybody here and Christmas decorations and feeding people and all of that. And then this week with, you know, the thing with Merlin. And so I noticed that last night, later in the evening, I was like, F this list. I don't even, like, I'm just gonna say I'm like a 30 today. And I thought, wow, like, how does that help Merlin? You know, I started thinking of Merlin. I'm like, how does that help Merlin? And how does that help? We have some financial goals for our company that we want to see us, you know, end the year strong. And I've promised my team that I'll stay on it for my part and blah, blah. So I got to 80 last night. Yeah, I did. And what was interesting, though, was last week, and Karen knows this, I promised that I would stay consistent with my workouts. On top of this promise to do the effective list, I promised myself that I would work out 5 days a week until the end of the year, because that's where I always lose my consistency, always. So last week on Sunday, I had to do 3 workouts in a row to keep my promise to myself. And Wednesday and Thursday, because of what was going on, I was like, not doing it. So now between today and tomorrow, I have to complete 3 workouts to keep my promise. So I just noticed, you know, I noticed that, okay, you can be going along and then, like, life is going to, you know, you can say, I want to change my life. I want to go to a different level. I want to create bigger results. I'm going to keep my edges in so that I can manifest those results. And then, you know, you go along. The first month was not so bad, you know, that was October. And then the second month, it was like, where's all the results? This isn't, why am I doing this? This is like, and I walked myself through that. And okay, now we're coming into December and I'm still going. And now it's like, okay, now life is just throwing shit in my way. But it's kind of like if you have to watch your food and you leave the house and you don't eat, and then, you know, you go out and you're doing stuff, and then you're much more likely to grab something that's not good for you or not healthy because you're in chaos, right? So it's kind of interesting that he talks about the chaos zone for high performers, because I feel like for me, that's part of it, right? When I don't keep my edges in, no matter what, like I allowed yesterday morning, I could have gone down and worked out. My son came over and was sitting with Merlin, and, you know, my husband's here. Like I could have, I just made up a reason. Like I made up that I was too upset and too sad and too whatever to go. Like, but it wasn't real. I could have I definitely could have. And I definitely chose not to. And now I definitely have to do 3 workouts within the next 2 days, which is fine. I'll get it done because I'm determined to break this. Whatever this thing is that I have been trying for a decade to be consistent with my workouts 5 days a week. And it's not hard for me, folks. I have a gym that I built in my basement so that I could be consistent. All I have to do is roll my ass down 2 sets of stairs. I'm in there. Okay. This is not hard. And I have not been able to beat this back. So I am determined that I will. And we have, you know, 1 more month to go I'm also pretty confident that once I keep it in for another month, it'll just be the way that it is, because then that will been, you know, have been like 90 days that I have done it. So it's just interesting.
Yeah, I would say it's been an interesting week. I have a bum leg.
Tell them what Karen fell down the stairs.
I found down marble stairs, just flying. So everyone, just make sure you hold on to railings when you're walking down the stairs.
Yeah.
So I went flying down marble stairs. I went to the ER, did some X-rays, CT scans. I have a broken foot, a fractured whatever foot. I'm not a big medical person. I did this last Monday before Thanksgiving. I have made my bed every day. I have folded my big thing was folding my blankets on the couch before I go to bed, because when I wake up in the morning, I like, you know, it looks really nice.
Right.
I have done this every single day. Guys, I am on a scooter. I am not very mobile, but it is it takes me over 5 minutes to make my bed.
Yeah.
Because of, I got to move around with the sleep.
Right.
But it just, it's really important for me to keep that up. There's a lot of
Yeah.
things that I have to change on my list. Like I haven't been able to work out again, but I'll start it soon. I just talked to my friend yesterday. We'll do some upper body workouts that have nothing to do with my leg.
Yeah.
I still have the coffee mugs in the sink. Don't always go out every night because it's like hard for me. I can't unload the dishwasher.
Yeah.
But those two things I've kept consistent, and it's really nice. I'm very proud of myself.
I'm proud of you too. That's awesome.
Making my bed. I'm so proud of myself. But yeah, it's really like I didn't think that would be the wrench thrown in my December. And
Right?
you know what I did?
Hi, Liz.
I spent a day like being grumpy and mourning because I had a lot of plans this month. A lot.
Yeah. Tell people you were going to travel. You had
every weekend I had a plan. I had, next weekend I was going to go down to Miami. The weekend after I have friends flying in. The weekend after that, whatever, it's the holidays. And then I was supposed to go to the Bahamas for New Year's. And then my cousin's coming in, like whatever. And a lot of it got canceled. And so I spent a whole day just like upset. Told my team I was upset. Like I told Noelle, I'm like, I'm just having a shitty day. I allowed myself to have that like 24 hours of just feeling bad for myself and that victim mentality. So it didn't translate the rest of the month. Because I could do this for the next month if I wanted to. Every day. Oh, no.
Right. Yep. It's important. I always say, like, don't go down the rabbit hole, right? That's my famous thing.
Yeah.
Like, and I'll say, like, don't invite that in and then like give it a chair and give it a scone and give it a coffee and like don't, because once you're in there with it, it's way harder to get yourself out of it. So it's like if you just say, okay, like Karen did, I'm going to allow myself 24 hours to wallow in my misery. And then we're moving on. And I kind of had to do that with what's going on with Merlin. I have 3 cats, and they are like my world, these cats. So, I had a little pity party yesterday morning, and then I just was like, some of my friends that are, a little bit more spiritually inclined than I am, in kind of a seeing like what's their way. We're just saying, like, obviously there's a lesson in, I know that, right? But when you're in it, it's hard to like remember, like, okay, what is this trying to show me?
Yeah.
So I started asking myself, and for me, it's like, I cannot control this. We have done everything we can, and we will continue to. And I don't think everybody knows this, but I'm a double Reiki master myself. I just saw Liz pop in. She's a friend. She's a Reiki master. I have like 6 Reiki masters working on this cat with me, including my son and my husband, who are also Reiki masters. So this cat, if he wants the healing, he can definitely claim it, and it's all good. The point in telling you this is I can't control that. I can't control it. And I'm not good with things I can't control. And it is just, this is, I couldn't control it when my mother, chose not to claim a healing for herself. And of course, I think I'm triggered, right? Because this smells like that, even though one's a cat and one's a human, but it's that same, it's like something that, you love so much, and you want for them what you want for yourself. You want them to want what you want for them. And we saw that too with some people visiting for Thanksgiving that, have some different challenges with health and stuff. And so it's like, it's been like I feel like it's been, Thanksgiving was last. So it's been like a 2-week period, or a week period, basically, of people being in my sphere that, I see things that need to be rectified, and I can't rectify them. And I'm a fixer. Like, I get paid to fix. That's what I do. That's literally like what people call me in for, is to fix their companies or fix their team or fix their whatever. Like, that's what I have spent decades. I am a fixer, and I am really good at it. And I can't fix these things. And it is a whole nother level when you're emotionally attached. It's easy for me to say, okay, I can't control when it's like a little bit away from me. Like, okay, I can't control. But when it's up close to you, man, it's something else when you're a control monster like I am. And I'm really good at checking myself at the door work wise and with client, like I understand, I've achieved that level of maturity that in business I'm well aware there are things I can't control. With the teams that I manage, I understand I cannot control things, I cannot force people to change, blah blah blah. When it's right in your own backyard and it's people, sometimes that know the same types of things you do, and you don't see them like embracing the principles that they know, and
Mm,
they've studied for decades like you have, but they're choosing not to embrace that.
that's
Or
hard.
it's a creature that you love or a parent that you love. And that in the case of my mother, she's the one that taught me most of what I know. And I had to watch her not embracing what she always challenged me to embrace. Like anytime I was seemingly hurt or ailing or whatever, like she always, I always healed myself because I learned that from her. Um, and the day before she died, she said to me, I know I can work a healing, but it's too much trouble and I don't feel like it. And so that was like, I had to just, what can you do? I had to
Mm,
accept that. And for those of you that have watched me for a long time now, I shared that with you, a couple days after she passed away. Um, and with the cat, I can't control that either, right? He has to,
mm,
like, there's literally enough healing energy around this little cat that if he wants to claim the healing, he definitely can. I can't control that either. And so um it's been a humbling, thing. Plus, I was supposed to go to Boston and actually see Liz and some other friends of mine. I was supposed to leave on Thursday, this coming Thursday, and the hotel had a 7-day like cancellation thing. And so on this Thursday, based on what I could see in my house with the cat and all, like I had to just cancel because I'm just not going to leave. Like I've sat with people that are, if the cat in fact is going to leave us, I've been around people and animals that are making their transition. And a lot of people fear that kind of stuff and they get really like effed up and upset. And like, I know that it's just a transition. And so it's like, I'm not leaving, I'm just not going to leave my house when that, I don't know what's going to happen. So that is also something I couldn't control, is my point. So it's like Karen's talking about, she can't, that's like, we don't wallow because we can't control, all we can control is our response to what's happening. So like Karen's controlling her response to falling down the stairs and what came from that. I'm working really hard to control my response to what's happening, in my house with my cat. And I worked really hard to control my response to, my mother's process as she walked it out. And I feel like I did a really good job with that because I didn't try to make her feel like she needed to make a different choice. I just accepted the choice that she made. And so I guess the point would be for any of you that are facing challenges, two things to note. One, note that chaos looks for every opportunity to thwart your path when you've set your mind to something and you've set your mind to being effective or being disciplined or following a protocol. When you are determined to get from one level of your life to the next level and you set yourself a path, chaos loves to throw you things to see how dedicated, you are, right? So be mindful that when you're in the middle of sadness or seeming suffering or seeming health challenges whatever it is, you still can control your response to that. I could have chosen yesterday to go down and work out, and truthfully, I probably should have. I just didn't. So, just be aware, right? Be aware of the tendency to want to just crumple into a ball and feel sad and sorry about what seems to be happening. And, your strength comes from standing in the middle of any circumstance and putting a stake in the ground and saying, this is my intention for this matter. I don't care what kind of a shitstorm it looks like right now. I'm just going to keep walking. And my intention is that Merlin has a healing, whatever that means for him, I've accepted. So my intention is just that there's no suffering and there's a healing, whatever that looks like. My intention for my mother was the same, and it turned out in a way that I wish it had turned out in a different way, and it didn't, and that's okay. So we cannot control how long people choose to stay on the planet, when they'll choose to go. We can't control other people's behavior. I can't control my son's behavior. Karen can't control her mother's behavior. Like, all we can do is control this right here. That's all we've got. So as you walk into the last month of the year and the holiday season, I think it's really impactful for you to keep watch on this right here, because this is like high trigger month for people in so many different ways. It's like, it's high trigger month for holidays. It's high trigger month for like, how did I do this year? Did I fail? Is my life a mess? Like, all that. I'm going to let Karen comment on what she sees, but first I'm going to tell you, I dropped the 2024 blueprint. It's the entire workbook. It's a PDF. Okay. I dropped it in the group as a post with a file attached to it. So there is in the Working Coach Mom group, if you're not a member of the group and you want the download and you don't want to sign up for the free teachable course, because it's also, the download is in that course that you can also download and print it. But for those of you that don't want to sign up for the free companion course, you can simply just download. It's like 35 pages. I'm going to do it. I'm going to start walking through it so that I'm halfway or all the way through it when I talk to you guys next year. In 2 weeks. There's some good questions in here that I feel like will help you as you start to plan, for 2024. And as you start to plan your goals for 2024, we would encourage you to look at it more like a growth plan and more like a lot of middle goals that you can achieve, right? So do those small bits for 30 to 60 days and win at that. And then this one woman that he tells the story about, she did like 1 mile on the treadmill every day. That was her thing. And then she ended up doing like 3 to 5 miles a day and losing 10 pounds. Because she just, she was consistent with the 1 mile for like 30 or 60 days. And then she naturally just added.
Yeah, that's the best feeling.
Yeah. So go ahead, Karen. What do you have to say about all that?
I have to say, practicing gratitude when I'm doing my goals. It is so hard to keep it consistent, but you just have to keep reminding yourself that you're doing it. So what I was recently doing was this exercise from the Success Principles, is in the mirror every night, going over all the goals and the consistency and all the stuff I did through the day.
Oh,
and it was so cheesy at first. You're staring at a mirror, talking to yourself, and you're supposed to do it before bed. You're supposed to do it for at least 2 minutes. By day 20, my self-esteem really did increase.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it really did. Like, no bullshit. It really did increase. I haven't done it more recently. Standing in front of a mirror is not something I'm doing right now.
We need to get
it's a good exercise. It's a really good exercise.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah. going, because you have to appreciate what you're doing to
Right.
get further and continuing it. And a lot of people miss that mark.
Yeah. And you have to appreciate how far you've come. Like, we just celebrated our wedding anniversary, and I said, okay, what's the best thing that happened in the last, I don't know, like 5 years or whatever. And we were like, like there was more than one best thing, but they don't just roll off my tongue, I guess is what I'm saying. Like, I have to think, because I'm so driven that as soon as I finish one thing, I'm like, okay, what's the, and I am probably the worst for appreciating how far I've come, because I don't even think about that. I don't even think about if I'm enjoying my life, to be quite honest with you. I just think about what is the next task that needs to be done. And I don't even stop to think hardly about what I want. Like, I think about what I want in relation to what I want to see happen with the company, or what I want to see happen for my son, or whatever. I don't really think about what do I want. Like, what do I want? I don't even know how to answer that question, which is probably why I'm terrible at marketing myself, because I don't know. I just do the next thing. So, yeah, kind of a cool little side note. Kendra Hall, the one that wrote the books that I love about the stories and writing a new story. She was taking, she's in New York for the month of December off her speaking schedule because of her daughter's Nutcracker performances. And she was taking 1 hour appointments to, kind of help you craft a story. So I actually have an appointment with her on December 14th to spend an hour with her on Zoom, which I'm super fangirl momenting like a bit. And also she's going to help me kind of with a rebrand of myself. I think instead of building all these sites for all the different things that I do, I think we're going to build out in 2024 noelfederico.com. And I think from there, you'll be able to get to all the different things that I do, or that you can do with me, or whatever. Also, the Roundtable show is up, and it is, we built a site, which is pretty cool. And the site is roundtableshows.com. But if you go to Fortunato Partners, you can also link over to, I think, to the Roundtable. But it is on Spotify, and it is on, where else? It's on YouTube. It's on Spotify. We had a great conversation with Angie Davis yesterday about DISC and about the personality assessments. And we included Erin Lockwood, who's an outside member of our staff agency team. And so lots of stuff going on. It's a challenging, let's not call it challenging. It's an interesting season that we are in day 2 of December. So just really we'll be, Dolly, it's a show that's more focused on business conversations and career and just success principles kind of for everyone. It's just it backs up better to kind of like my corporate persona and what I do in the business world. Let me see when we'll be live next so I can tell you guys, and I'll publish an event. So we'll be live on the 16th again. So we'll see you before Christmas.
Yeah.
I really would encourage you to print out this workbook and work on it. And feel free to email, any insights or questions that you have as you're working through the workbook. I did do a companion class for it, which is totally free. It's up on my Teachable School. So if you really want to make an impact as you walk into the new year, it might be a good place to start. And yeah, that's really it. So prayers for Karen's healing, prayers for Merlin's healing, and prayers for all of us all the way around to just have a really solid and impactful December that becomes a great foundation for the year ahead. That is my goal for you guys. Anything you want to say there, Chicky?
No.
All right.
We'll see you guys soon.
We'll see you guys on the 16th. Don't let the turkeys get you down. That's what my mother used to say.
I'm so sick of turkey.
Right. Bye, you guys.